Finally, an episode about food. Hope you're excited as I am. I'm your host Yusuf, welcome to Crime Time. Today we're covering the top 10 craziest last meal requests. Make sure you're subscribed and ring that bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Anyways, let's get cooking. Number 10, Eileen Wuornos. Eileen Wuornos was a serial executioner. While working on the streets selling her body to depraved men, she managed to slaughter 7 men. She's broken the glass ceiling on eliminating multiple people. Eileen is a terrifying criminal and she had multiple freakouts during interviews. Like that time she said when she passed away, she would be sent to a UFO, and that she feels bad for all of us on Earth because in 2019 a meteor would strike us and send us to extinction. Besides that, what was her last meal request? Well, who could just board a UFO without their morning cup of joe? Get it? Morning? For real though. Eileen ordered a single cup of coffee for her last meal. Kinda sad actually. At number 9, Philip Workman. In 1988, at 28 years old, Workman was living with his wife and daughter in Columbus, Georgia, and was heavily addicted to a white powdery substance. That summer, he hitchhiked to Memphis, where on August 5th, 1981, he robbed a Wendy's restaurant with a .45 caliber semi-automatic pistol. During the robbery, an employee of the restaurant triggered a silent alarm after Workman granted her request to stand up to relieve a cramp in her leg. 3 Memphis police officers, Ronald Oliver, Aubrey Stoddard, and Stephen Parker, responded to the alarm. Upon their arrival, Workman attempted to flee across a nearby parking lot, then shot his pistol at them and ended Lieutenant Ronald Oliver's life. During his time on Demise Row, he warmed his heart a little, and for his last meal, he asked for a vegetarian pizza to be donated to a homeless person in Nashville. The police denied this request, but many pizzas were donated to the homeless when the public got word of his wish. Number 8, Ricky Ray Rector. Before we get into this criminal's backstory, can we address how much of a supervillain name he has? Ricky Ray Rector? Anyways, on March 21st, 1981, Rector and some friends drove to a dance hall at Tommy's old-fashioned home-style restaurant in Conway. When one friend could not pay the $3 cover charge and was refused entry, Rector became incensed and pulled a .38 caliber pistol from his waistband. He fired several shots, wounding 2 and executing a third man named Arthur D. Criswell, who passed away almost instantly after being struck in the throat and forehead. Villainous. While awaiting his demise sentence, Rector attempted to take his own life, but failed. His last meal was steak, fried chicken, cherry Kool-Aid, and pecan pie. Where it gets interesting is that he had brain damage from his previous attempt on his life, and when he couldn't finish his pie, he said he would save it for later, before being escorted into the last room he would ever be in. Number 7, Timothy McVeigh. Timothy James McVeigh was a veteran of the Gulf conflict who went on to commit extreme acts of violence. He was responsible for the 1995 Oklahoma City tragedy that executed 168 people, injured more than 680 others, and destroyed 1/3 of the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building. McVeigh sought revenge against the federal government for the 1993 Waco siege, as well as the 1992 Ruby Ridge incident and American foreign policy. He hoped to inspire a revolution against the federal government, and defended the tragedy as a legitimate tactic against what he saw as a tyrannical government. What did this remorseless criminal want for his last meal? 2 pints of mint chocolate chip ice cream. It's not a completely insane request, but from the man who managed to end the lives of 168 people, ice cream is a pretty jolly request. Number 6, Robert Alton Harris. Robert Alton Harris was an American car thief, burglar, kidnapper, and executioner who was executed at San Quentin State Prison in 1992 for his 1978 removal of 2 men in San Diego. His execution was the first in the state of California since 1967. Harris was born in Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and was abused as a child. He had run-ins with the police as early as age 10 and was first placed into juvenile detention at age 13 for stealing a car. His mother abandoned him at age 14 and he was soon after placed into juvenile detention after stealing another car. Following his release, he found work, married, and had a son. In 1975, he was imprisoned for manslaughter and paroled in January 1978. On July 5th, 1978, Harris and his younger brother commandeered a car occupied by 2 people, John Majewski and Michael Baker, ordered them to drive to a remote area, then ended their lives. What did he get for his last meal? A 21-piece bucket of KFC, 2 large Domino's pizzas, ice cream, a bag of jelly beans, a 6-pack of Pepsi, and a pack of Camel cigarettes. That's a lot of food, and cigarettes for some reason. Number 5, Alan Lee Davis. Alan Lee Davis was an American executioner who was executed for the May 11th, 1982 execution of Nancy Wheeler in Jacksonville, Florida. According to reports, Nancy Wheeler was beaten almost beyond recognition by Davis with a .357 Magnum and hit more than 25 times in the face and head. Davis, who had a lengthy criminal record, was on parole for armed robbery at the time of the executions. This guy is a real piece of work. I had to remove some stuff in the video, but he truly is a monster. What was his last meal request? Lobster tail, fried potatoes, fried shrimp and clams, a half loaf of garlic bread, and 32 ounces of A&W root beer. I almost wish he choked on all that food. Number 4, Victor Fugger. Victor Harry Fugger was a convicted executioner and the last federal inmate executed in the United States before the moratorium on the execution penalty following Furman v. Georgia, and the last person put to demise in the state of Iowa. While the media did not pay much attention to Fugger or his execution at the time, Timothy McVeigh's execution sparked renewed media interest in him. But what did he want for food? That's the real question. Well, this guy was certainly not healthy mentally. He requested a single olive with the pit inside. What's the point of that? Number 3, Thomas J. Grasso. This guy went all out for his last meal. Steamed clams and mussels, a Burger King double cheeseburger, barbecue spare ribs, 2 strawberry milkshakes, half a pumpkin pie, and a can of SpaghettiOs. However, there was a slight controversy when Thomas J. Grasso received his final meal. While Grasso requested SpaghettiOs at room temperature, he instead received regular spaghetti and meatballs. Oh, his poor soul. As he noted in a later public statement. His last words were actually, "I didn't get my SpaghettiOs. I want the public to know this." The guy had a grudge. He really wanted those SpaghettiOs. Number 2, James Edward Smith. On March 7th, 1983, Smith approached a teller's window at the Union National Life Insurance Company in Houston, Texas. Armed with a gun and wearing a stocking mask, Smith slid open the glass and pointed the weapon at the teller, ordering her to hand over all of the money. When she refused and hid behind a filing cabinet, Smith turned his attention to 44-year-old Larry Don Roas, the company's district manager who had been standing with her. Roas complied with Smith's demands and retrieved money from the cash drawer, which he then handed over to Smith in a plastic bag. As Roas walked away, Smith ordered him to return to the window. While the two engaged in conversation, Roas pleaded with Smith not to shoot him and began taking off a bracelet on his wrist. Smith then fired 2 shots, with the second hitting Roas in the upper left side of the chest. Roas was rushed to the hospital where he passed away several hours later. Smith's last meal request was a lump of dirt. Really. He was denied this request and settled on a yogurt cup. At number 1, John Wayne Gacy. Gacy performed as a clown to entertain children during events and birthday parties and to raise money for charity. His clown alias was Pogo the Clown, but while he was in costume, his demeanor changed from a happy face painter to a remorseless criminal. Gacy tortured and executed 33 people, usually men, between January 1972 and late 1978. For his very last meal, Gacy went for something both unhealthy and healthy at the same time. Fried shrimp, a bucket of KFC, French fries, and strawberries. I'm not sure the pairing of fried foods with fresh strawberries is a good combination, but oh well, his choice. Thanks for watching. Leave a like and comment if you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time on Crime Time.